Hey, fifth grade math, it's Mr. Robinson. Today's leap is going to look a little bit different. I'm having you watch this video, and then it will also help you do your worksheet that is also for today's leap. So today, we're still going to be talking about multiplication. It's what we've been talking about for a little bit now, and this lesson is going to continue that. So first, we need to remind ourselves, what is multiplication? And in class, as I've been asking this question, you guys are always good at answering. You're saying it's like repeated addition. It's like, how many groups of how many do we have? So we have to keep that in mind. Whenever we're doing multiplication, we need to ask ourselves, what does this mean? What is this? It's not just some random thing we do. It makes sense. It helps us make sense of the world around us. So we know what multiplying is. We've been going over that for a little bit now. We've also been talking about rounding. We've said that rounding can help us make sense of our answers. If we get an answer of 72, but then we do an estimation and find a rounded answer of 229, then we probably need to go back and check our work because that doesn't make sense. We can use rounding to quickly come up with where the answer is close to. So we need to keep that. That's a skill that's very useful. So keep that in mind. And also this week we have learned how to use models to multiply decimals. So our little sheets, our grid sheets where we color in one product going one way and the other going the other way, and where they both connect, that tells us the answer. So we've talked about multiplication, we've talked about ways to make sure our numbers make sense and number sense, and we've also used models to multiply. And so let me back up. So all those things have helped you to make sense of what multiplication is, give you the skills, give you the background needed to understand the concept. And now today, I'm going to give you the easy way out. I'm going to teach you the easy algorithmic way to multiply decimals. And specifically, we're talking about multiplying a decimal by a whole number today. All right, so let's try to dig in here. Go ahead and grab a scrap piece of paper and a writing utensil so that you can follow along with me. You can pause the video at any time you need because I would like you to, when I write the problems up, do them. So pause the video, do them, and then hit resume, and we'll work it out together, all right? All right, so the first problem I have on the board is 9 8/10 times 2. So the easy algorithmic way is to just act like the decimals do not appear, okay? So we have 9 8/10 times 2, but what I'm teaching today, we're going to look at this as just 98 times 2. Say, Mr. Robinson, how can that be? How can we have 9 8/10 and you're telling us just to act like it doesn't exist and the 9 8/10 just magically becomes 98? Well, I'm glad you asked. So 9 8/10, we can write this as 9 8/10 is the same as 98 times 10 to the negative first. All right, so this is something we talked about a couple weeks ago. How we have an exponent and how that moves our decimal point. So this is the same thing, right? 9 8/10 is the same as 98 times 10 to the negative first, because we know that this negative 1 in the power tells us to move the decimal that would be here one spot to the left. All right, so we need to keep this in mind when we finish this problem because it'll come in handy. And this is why we can change it, because when we get our answer, we're gonna do a little something with it. All right. So then, once we have changed 9 8/10 to 98 times 2, we can just do our simple multiplication like we know how to do, all right? So 2 times 8 is 16, 6 down here, 1 up here. 2 times 9 is 18, plus 1 is 19. So I have 196. We good to go? Does this make sense? 98 times 2 equals 196? Well, let's use some strategies we know. How about some estimation and rounding? What is 98 close to? Is it close to 100? So let's say 100 times 2. That'd be 200. Our answer is close. It makes sense. That's good. But are we done yet? No, we aren't. We need to go back here and remember what we did at the beginning. We changed 9 8/10 to 98, and we were able to do that by multiplying by 10 to the negative first. So we still need to come over here and multiply our answer by 10 to the negative first, which simply means we have a decimal point here. We're going to move it right here. So our answer is 19 6/10. All right, let's try another one to make sense of what's going on here. Let's try 67 hundredths times 8. All right, so we know a lot of strategies, but our easy algorithmic way is to simply multiply like the decimal does not exist. So let me make sure this decimal shows up. It's 0 and 67 hundredths times 8. So we want to change 67 hundredths into 67. How do we do that? Well, let's write it over here to the side. We have 67 hundredths. We're going to multiply it. Let me restart. We have 67 hundredths. And that is the same as 67 hundredths times 10 to a power. What power is it going to be? All right, 67 hundredths is the same as 67. I almost give you the answer. Times 10 to the negative second. All right, because our decimal point would be here. Since it's negative second, we move it to the left twice. All right, so now we can look at this. We can take away this decimal, don't need the 0. We can look at this simply as 67 times 8. And we know how to do this because we've been doing this for a couple weeks now. 8 times 7 is 56, 6 down here, 5 up here. 8 times 6 plus 5 is 53. So I have 536. But we're not done yet. Because we changed our problem, we changed it from 67 hundredths to 67, we need to make sure we change our answer. It's 536 right now, but we need to remember that we're multiplying by 10 to the negative second. So come over here. Multiply this by 10 to the negative second, which means we have our decimal point. 10 to the negative second means we move left twice. So our final answer is 5 36 hundredths. I hope that's making sense so far. Let's take this one. I'm going to write it on the board, okay? And then I want you to make sure you pause the video and then try it out on your own before I give you the answer. Okay, so we have 46 hundredths, and I'm going to multiply that by 3. Okay, so we've done a couple of these together. Go ahead, pause the video, write it down on your piece of paper, and see what answer you get. All right, so we had 46 hundredths times 3. Again, we're doing the algorithmic way where we just act like the decimal point doesn't exist, so we can just multiply two whole numbers. So we have 46 hundredths, and I know that 46 hundredths is the same as 46 times 10 to the negative second. Again, why are we doing this? Because we want a whole number. Because we know how to multiply two whole numbers. So here we're going to take the 46 hundredths and that is the same as 46 times 10 to the negative second. So now I can come over here to my problem. I erase the 0 in this decimal point because that's not needed anymore, and I'm left with 46 times 3. 3 times 6 is 18, 8 down here, 1 up here. 3 times 4 is 12, plus 1 is 13, 138. Okay, so now we come back over here. What do we multiply by? 10 to the negative second. What does 10 to the negative second mean? It means we divide by 10 twice, or move the decimal point to the left twice. So our decimal point was here. We move it twice. And now it is right here, 1 38 hundredths. Hope you guys got that as the answer. We're going to do more practice with this. So tonight's leap is also on multiplying a decimal by a whole number. Couple things to keep in mind here is, let's make sense of what multiplying means. We always have, whenever we do these problems, let's keep in mind that multiplying is how many groups have how many do I have. So in this case, I had 46 hundredths times 3. Let's try to make sense of what this kind of looks like, okay? So 46 hundredths is close to 50 hundredths, or 5/10. We could call that 1/2, okay? So if I have 3 groups of 1/2, how many do I have? I have 1 1/2. 1 38 hundredths is pretty close to that. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Also, rounding. I showed you this on the first problem when we had 9 8/10 times 2, how we changed 9 8/10 to 98. And then I said we could round that up to 100 and do 100 times 2. We got 200 as our estimate, and we got 196 as our actual answer. So since those were close, we knew we probably did it right. Okay? And then we can always use models to multiply as well when we have the grids and we shade in. But sometimes that's a little more time consuming. Once you get the concept of what that is doing and you've understood what multiplying is, then we can move into the easy steps to get a fast, quick answer. All right, I hope this helped. Reach out if you have any questions, and thanks for watching.